Good evening, everybody. I'm David Robinson with my co-host Ronald Reagan, apparently. This is Clubhouse Weekly. This will be our third installment of the season. I don't like missing a week. I like to keep you guys up to date what I think is going on with the league. Couldn't find a co-host tonight. Schedule conflicts, whatnot, what have you. We get old, I guess. I remember, even 4 or 5 years ago, it was a lot easier to do this and just have it set up and ready to go, but my normal co-host, Anthony Johnson, has been a bit busy, a bit stressed out, a lot going on with his life, and my sub-co-host, he's working tonight, so you got me. We're going to do the normal, look back at last week, see what happened, look forward to next week, see what I think is going to happen. Any posts or comments would be appreciated. I'd love some feedback, see what you guys think is going on with the league. So I'll just get into it last week. I'm going to try and make it short this week because I'm by myself, and I don't know how to talk to myself. The first matchup we'll go over is my matchup. I go against Matt's team. I thought Matt's team underperformed just terribly. Minnesota just gets blown out by Buffalo last week. I mean, how does that even happen? Previously I've always just said, start anybody against the Bills, and then Minnesota promptly blows up my theory. I think my theory will hold true for the rest of the season, at least, most of the time. But last week was a real bummer. I mean, Kirk Cousins puts up negative points. Stephon Diggs for Matt's team puts up, 3 points. He runs into injury trouble. Evan Ingram's his tight end. He gets hurt. Just underperformances across the board. There really wasn't much he could do. He would have had to make some really weird decisions to even have a chance in the game. I only put up 115, but like I like to say, you got to give yourself a chance to win. I do that really on a good coaching decision. I play Matt Ryan over Andrew Luck, and that nets me a plus, 25 points because Matt Ryan puts up 40 last week. Michael Thomas shows up. I get some production on my backfield. Jordan Howard and Lamar Miller. I actually just traded away Lamar Miller this week, so no longer on the squad. Good luck to you, Steven, with him. Nothing huge. Adrian Peterson puts up points, but he's on my bench. But that's good to see. I like to see that. The Lions game, they actually ran the ball last week. So I actually, 2 weeks ago, thought about actually giving up on Kerryon Johnson, maybe picking up another receiver or whatever, a different running back or what it might be. And I didn't. I held off. I said, as a rookie, maybe he'll get involved a little bit later. And he does. First 100-yard rusher for the Lions in, 5 or 6 years or something crazy like that. So not a lot. I ended up winning 114 to 83. I think Matt puts up the least points in the league last week, and he just runs into a bad week of variance is how I would look at it. I think he's got to get out there and shore up his bench, and dig a little bit more. Second matchup is going to be Steven's Long Dong Silver team versus ridiculousness of Anthony Johnson. Closest matchup I've seen in this league's history, Steven comes up with a 1/10 of a point victory. And this is the thing, both these teams underperform, but they both give themselves a chance to win. And at the end of the day, Steven wins by 1/10 of a point. He gets production out of Deshaun Watson, which I think he can look forward to for the rest of the season. Jarvis Landry actually almost a week and a half ago now on Thursday Night Football, actually ends up putting up 8 points when Baker Mayfield gets in the game. Nothing. I don't really love Steven's team. He has Robert Woods on the bench last week that went up for 28. That's some missed equity. And that Rams team is just looking unstoppable. And they played on Thursday night already against the Minnesota Vikings. And that offense just looks unreal. It looks like the old St. Louis Rams, except for it's Jared Goff going to Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, and Todd Gurley. There's just so many weapons. If they stay healthy, it's going to take one hell of a defensive effort to slow them down. And you're not going to shut them down. You got to try and slow them down, eat up the clock against them, have a balanced running game against them, and just keep those guys off the field. Because it seemed like on Thursday night, every time they got the ball, they just went down the field and scored. And it really didn't look that hard. So owning Los Angeles Rams is a really good thing. If you own Kupp, Woods, Cooks, Gurley, I think you should start them every week. And I think Steven will start to do that. Robert Woods, perceived as a third receiver in that bunch, but he's getting plenty of love. I think that's 3 straight weeks of 15 plus fantasy points. For Anthony, really, outside of two players, the rest of the team just doesn't show up. He has Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey, both players that I like, both Panthers, show up and put up big points. I mean, unfortunately for Anthony, McCaffrey puts up 21 fantasy points with no touchdowns. So, I mean, if he could have just kissed the end zone, he would have win. I think, the magic with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers kind of fell apart on Monday Night Football. Deshaun Jackson puts up 5.5 points. He's still got Le'Veon Bell. I don't know what the hell he's going to do with him. I think he's a drop by now. I think it's time for him to go. He's got Fitzpatrick on his bench. Fitzpatrick puts up 400 yards again, so who knows how that's going to last. But he's got Cam Newton, so he's not going to be starting Fitzpatrick anyway. And there's really not much trade value with quarterbacks. I don't think anybody's going to fall for that. So Andy's got to get out there and dig. And I'm going to look forward to this next week because we're going to be talking about buys and injuries and really starting to cut up to a lot of players. So like I said, Steven gets his first win of the season, which he needs. He gets to that 1-2 point, 16 make the playoffs, and you're not going to have to be. You have to be 6 and 7. Maybe even a 5 and 8 gets in on good points, but 6 and 7 for Steven will do it. And this is a good step it's a step in the right direction for him, frankly. Third matchup, we have Derek's team, Auto Draft, versus Alex's team, with my take. Alex, post something. Tell me you're watching this stuff, because it would make me happy at least. I'm not doing this for nobody. Jamie, post something. You're in Italy right now. You're bored in the airport. Put it on Fantasy Weekly for me. Let me know that, give me a shout out from Copenhagen, where the hell you're at. But Lick My Tate gets the victory by 12 points. He owns Jared Goff, and he starts him over Phillip Rivers, which is going to be a decision he's going to make on a week-in and week-out basis. I'm a huge fan of Goff, and I'm a huge fan of Rivers, so that's a good problem to have. Like I said, though, I don't know if you're going to really leverage. You just got to play matchup. You're not going to be able to leverage that into a good trade. He has Marvin Jones on his bench. That might be somebody who could, somebody's weak at receiver. He could put a little dangle out there for trade bait. Matt Breida, who was kind of a surprise, a lower draft pick that he picked up, and he takes a big blow just because the Niners lose Jimmy Garoppolo last week, and I just think that offense now is just going to be nothing. And you could say, oh, well, he's a running back. He's going to get more touches. He's going to run the ball more with C.J. Beathard in the game. Yeah, but the team's going to be ready for the run. Garoppolo spreads the field. He opens everything up for everybody, and I just think it's there's no positives in fantasy for any Niner now out of Garoppolo's injury. Again, Todd Gurley is on Alex's team, which I love any Los Angeles Ram that's on the offense. And he hits his projections, gives himself a chance to win, and he wins. Like I said, I misspoke. Kirk Cousins didn't put up negative points. He put up 11, but it's probably because he threw it 75 times because they were just down in that game. Really, by halftime, that game was out of hand. Buffalo on the road beating Minnesota. That's the NFL. I don't know how it happens. Derek, let's see if there's anything. He's got to get out there and shake this up. He's got Carson Wentz. He has Kirk Cousins, so he's going to be playing matchups on a week-in and week-out basis. Corey Clement. He starts Jay Ajayi's backup because he has Ajayi, which I'm glad that he has him handcuffed. But the Eagles didn't look all that great last week either. They struggled against the Colts at home. And maybe that's probably some rust from Wentz in the offense, but injury bug is really biting them. Joe Mixon's out. He's going to really, right now in the interim until he gets some of these guys back, he's really going to be relying heavily on Odell and Julio. And they put up 15 and 12 respectively last week, but he's going to be looking for 25 and 25 out of these guys for him to have any chance of winning. Because he gets 15 points out of his kicker and still lose by 12. I don't know what is Derek's record. Let me take a look at what Derek's record is. I think he might be one of the 0-3 teams. He is. He's 0-3. 0-3 with good points. So, he's not out of the playoff race. But he needs to get a win soon. He's running into some tough teams, but 0-3 is just, it's 0-3. That's all. There's nothing you can do about it. You're 0-3, and he's got to have to pull off two. He's got to get 2 wins in the next 3 weeks to get himself back into the race. Moving on to the fourth matchup, Jack's team. All hell Jack. puts up 151 big points this week. Of course, getting his production from Patrick Mahomes, who, I mean, the Chiefs, again, it's the Chiefs and the Rams are the story of the NFL. I mean, they look on the surface like they are on a collision course for the Super Bowl. Now, we're going to get late in the season. You can say that some experience is going to come into play and things like that. But, I mean, Mahomes just doesn't miss a pass. He's got Kareem Hunt, who actually gets up 16 points this week for him. Alvin Kamara, I mean, that's just money in the bank. He has a Rams defense, which I really like, too. He gets performances out of everybody. It's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, one thing that he could do, I mean, if he's sold on Mahomes, which I am, and I'm sure he is since he drafted him, he might try and swing a deal with Aaron Rodgers right now. Jack, I'd put Aaron Rodgers out there in trade land, try and figure out what you can get back. Maybe shore up some depth when your bye week start hitting. Looks like maybe we could use a little bit of help at the wide receiver position. You're playing, Marshawn Lynch as your flex. That means that you're weak at receiver if you're playing a running back flex. You're starting Funchess, Fuller. Obviously those guys show up here last week, but I think that's definitely where the hole in his team is, and I think he could shore that up by maybe trading away one of those quarterbacks. Even maybe trade Mahomes. And see what kind of package you can get back in return. Because somebody might overpay for Mahomes right now. I mean, there's no way that Mahomes is going to average 30 fantasy points a game, which he is right now. What is Jamie going to do? I mean, she puts up 96 points, which that's a little bit below my Mendoza line of, okay, well, you put up enough points to try and win. I mean, 96 isn't the worst score in the world, but let's talk about Kenyon Drake, Miami Dolphins running back. Kind of exploded on the scene last year. I thought that this was going to be his year. And I think last week he gets 3 carries for 5 yards, catches a couple balls out of the backfield, only gets 2 fantasy points. Really single digits out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. I mean, really, Drew Brees puts up half her points. Drew Brees puts up 40 points, and she's not even in the game. So, Antonio Brown a little bit below projection. Keenan Allen below projection. A lot of her studs just don't show up. And she has a lot of points on the bench. So, things are going to kind of settle out to where I think you're going to really know who you're supposed to play and not play. Offenses are going to start settling into their rhythm. And you're going to know, for example, I have Drake and I have James White as well as Jamie in a different league. And this week I'm playing James White and not Drake. And she has that same conundrum this week. And maybe she'll go that route. We'll see. Despite, all the projections saying, Drake's going to bounce back. Frank Gore's still around. He's not going away. He's still eating up way too many yards and way too many carries for that guy. Because the Dolphins are 3-0. So it's not like he's on a bad team. Jack blows it out. Wins by 50-plus points. High points in the league. Number 1 in the league. One of 2 undefeated teams in the league. So good on you, Jack. Jamie, better luck next week. I still think that you got a playoff squad on your hands. Last matchup, we've got Sweden House, Michael Robinson's team versus Tim's Lone Rangers. And it's Tim's Lone Rangers again. He's changed the team name back, trying to change up a bit of luck. I think he actually changed it after this week. So he starts off 0-3 as the Black Red Dragons. And now we're on to Tim's Lone Rangers. And I asked my co-host how this happened, and he'd probably put it a lot cuter than I would. But pretty much, Tim's wife said, we need to change the team name back to what it was. And we need to change some things up here. My brother Mike, it is that thing they're saying, though. He puts up 101 points and gets a win. And you got to do that. I mean, it's not a big number, but a win is a win. He gives himself a chance to win. We like his running back combination of Barkley, Gordon. He picked up Sammy Watkins and played him last week. And he put up 16 points. Look what waivers does for you guys. Get out there. He's got Kenny Golladay on his bench, looking like maybe he's going to be a solid fantasy starter for him for the rest of the season. And then, moving over to Tim's team, I can pick it apart. And I will a little bit. And he has 2 kickers. You should never have 2 kickers on your team. I mean, there's just so few. I mean, outside of Justin Tucker, if your team is awesome, and you can afford to hold 2 kickers, even on your bye week, you just drop your kicker and pick up a different one. That's how. And I'm going to say it right now. I think that next season we should make an amendment to our rosters and just not have a kicker and have an extra flex position, because the kicker is just such random luck. I mean, sure, you can say, oh, well, we should always play a kicker that's on a high-scoring team. Well, yeah, but then high-scoring teams score touchdowns, and kickers only get 1 point at a time. And then sometimes crappy teams just have to kick a lot of field goals. So, I mean, I don't even know who you pick. Obviously you say, oh, pick Tucker and Gostkowski, but I think Gostkowski last season was in the bottom half of scoring in kickers. It's just a random thing that can put the team over the top that I think we need to get rid of. I think kickers should not be part of fantasy football. Mike ends up with a win 101-86. Puts himself at 2-1, and I beat up on his team at the beginning of the season, but I think he's starting to get out there. I see him looking on his phone and getting after it. I'm happy for him. I think maybe he's actually starting to get the bug a little bit. And Tim's got to do the same thing. He's got to get out there and pick up players. I mean, if these guys aren't working, get some new ones. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, he has Matt Stafford. He's going to start him every week. And he has Mitchell Trubisky on his bench. Now, I don't know what. Mitchell Trubisky's probably owned in 10% of leagues, if that. That's just a wasted spot that you could, pick up a rookie running back or a rookie receiver, like Calvin Ridley, goes off for 50 fantasy points last week out of practically nowhere. Not really, but, out of nowhere to a novice. And that guy could have just been sitting on your bench, and then you go, oh my gosh, I have a stud now. And all of a sudden you think your problems are fixed, and you feel better about fantasy football. Anyways, Tim falls to 0-3. Mike goes to 2-1. And he's starting to look like a real player. He's got to keep on top of it. But, this is another, Mike's got himself a good shot at the playoffs. And I 2-1's a way to start. And really, I think you got to get 6 wins. So he's a third of the way there. I think he's a playoff team now. I don't know if you guys know much about me personally, but I am a huge sports fan. And my favorite event every 2 years is the Ryder Cup. And I've taken time out of my evening tonight to not watch my DVR Ryder Cup to give you Fantasy Weekly. So I'm just taking a little time out. But I would think that if you're even a sports fan, I'm a sports fan in general, and I really don't turn my head to anything that's interesting in sports. I'm not a hockey guy, but if it's the Stanley Cup Finals and it's Game 7 and it's overtime, I'm tuning in. I'm not a huge baseball fan, but when the playoffs start, I try to figure out what's going on, because I want to watch some of these playoff games and figure out who I want to root for and who I like. The Ryder Cup is something that, if you guys aren't into golf and you want to get into watching golf, that's where you start, because this stuff is amazing. It breaks all the norms of all the skepticism of golf, that it's quiet and people sit on their hands. I am telling you, on the first tee of all these matches, the Americans are getting booed because they're getting played in France, and all the European players are getting cheered. Heckled, booed, not like sort of booed, not like, oh, they're not clapping and cheering. No, they're booing American players, and I think it's amazing. I watch a lot of the PGA, so I'm up to date on all the players. But Tiger Woods is playing in the Ryder Cup right now. Phil Mickelson playing in the Ryder Cup right now. Just a couple names that you would know. I suggest you tune in. I suggest, in the future, it's just something that you go, oh, even if you don't know me 2 years from now when Ryder Cup's back, just say, who was that guy that I used to play fantasy football with? He said this Ryder Cup thing's really cool. Tune in and watch it. It is really cool. It's a lot of fun. I think you'd be hooked right away. All right, that's my little sidebar. Week 4 action's coming up. It's Saturday night. We got decisions to make tomorrow. Get your lineup set up. Get your lineup ready to go. First matchup is sibling rivalry. Myself and my brother Mike projected to be 122-117. These projections are always so close. It feels like you can throw a blanket over every team. But, right now we're starting to deal with bye weeks. I don't really have much bye week trouble right now, but I don't think I'm going to, because of the depth that I built on the team. I have legitimately 2 running backs, 2 receivers on the bench that could start any week. I have a backup quarterback. Tight end's probably the only position I'm a little bit weak at. I already get, the trade I made last week was I picked up Kyle Rudolph, so I actually have a solid tight end that plays for Minnesota Vikings, plays on a decent offense, plays on a decent team. He gets a lot of targets, a lot of looks, so I'm happy about that. I did trade away Lamar Miller, but I had the depth. I starting Jordan Howard, Giovanni Bernard. I have Adrian Peterson on my bench, who's on a bye this week, and I have Kerryon Johnson. So I have running backs. Looking over at Mike's team, I like his team too. I love his running backs. So I'm going to be looking. Both his running backs play at the 425 slot this Sunday, Barkley and Gordon. So I could get off to an early lead. And if those guys chew up a lot of yardage, I could be in trouble. Yahoo has me predicted for a small win. I'm going to say that I go to 4-0. The Patriots. Really, we talked about it a little bit last week. Tell me what you guys think about the Patriots. Going to Detroit and laying an egg. While as a Lions fan, I didn't mind it at all. I thought it was great to watch that happen, but there just isn't that we're going to get it done attitude. And maybe that takes some time. But look at the weapons that they don't have that they used to have. Now, I know Edelman's coming back. I think that'll be a huge addition. Gronk hasn't been Gronk this year. He's talking about retirement earlier this year because he might get traded to Detroit. Maybe this is just not a guy that's all in. I don't know. Pop quiz. Name a receiver for the New England Patriots. Pop quiz. You have 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Right. And I know there's Philip Dorsett. I'm sure there's some other white guy, but no New England receivers outside of Edelman who will be coming back. Not this week, but next week. Mike, his running back depth is good because he has Mark Ingram still, who's coming back from suspension as well. Mike's team, like we said, I think it's shaping up. We'll see what happens this week. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to win, obviously, just because it's my team and I built it, so I like my team. But if I get tripped up, I'm not really worried. I think I'm a solid playoff team no matter what. I'd like to go ahead and say that I'm going to win the regular season, win everything, but that's just, that's just hoping. Because really, the whole goal is to make the playoffs and give you a chance at the big money at the end of the season. All right. I'll move on to matchup number 2. We now officially have Tim's Lone Rangers playing auto draft for the win. So this is 0-3 versus 0-3. I don't think it's going out on too much of a limb to say that the loser of this game will not make the playoffs. Derek's team's favored to win by 10. I agree with that 100%. Ajayi is coming back this week. Picks up Benjamin Watson. This is definitely not a drafted player, so Derek, get out there and pick up somebody. Good for you, Derek. Picks up a tight end on an offense that throws the ball a lot. New Orleans Saints. Ben Watson's not a household name, but he's been in the league for a while. And he's had some big games before. And he's involved in that offense. He's on the field. So I like that pickup. I don't know if he had to do it, because of an injury or maybe he just was weak at that position. But good for you, Derek. Looks like right now he's going to go with Andy Dalton over Carson Wentz. Yahoo says to do it, so he does it. Andy Dalton's at Atlanta. It seems like Atlanta's been vulnerable to the passing attack, putting up points weekly, so I like that. The Bengals have a lot of options, They got the Boyd kid, and then they have A.J. Green. Giovanni Bernard coming out of the backfield. They've got Tyler Eifert. So there's some weapons out there. Maybe, Andy Dalton could put up a big number. That's not really a fantasy player that you think you should be playing every week, but maybe Derek catches lightning in the bottle for a week or two. We're weak at running back. We're starting Derrick Henry. I don't like it, but I don't know that he has much. He's making a coach's decision playing Henry over Crowell. Crowell's on the Jets at Jacksonville, so I kind of understand that. And then over to Tebow's team. Tim's Jordy Nelson actually shows up last week, puts up a huge number. So, looking at that, Tim goes out in Waiverland, picks up Royce Freeman, who's in that, running back logjam in Denver. Philip Lindsay, who was kind of starting to take the role as the number 1 back there last week, gets kicked out of the game for throwing a punch, which I wasn't happy about because he's on my team and doesn't see much love. So maybe Royce is going to get more love this week. Still has Mike Evans, still has Matt Stafford, still has Rob Gronkowski. Gronkowski's got to show up for Tim. He's got to show up big. But I'm going to go with Derek's team in the win here. I'm going to go with Derek's team by a lot because I think Tim has bad luck, and I think that Tim didn't draft well, And I think that Tim is not managing his roster correctly. So we'll move on to the next matchup. Next matchup is Lick My Tape, Alex's team, sitting at 2-1, going up against Steven's team, who is at 1-2. And we have Alex projected to have a 10-point victory this week. And it looks like Alex is going to go with Phillip Rivers this week, playing against the Niners. So the Niners are beat up on offense, and he's probably thinking that maybe there's going to be more possessions out there. So he sat Goff though, which in hindsight definitely seems like a mistake because Goff goes off for 40 against the Vikings. I don't think it's week in and week out he's going to start Goff now. Is he dealing with some bye week stuff here? No, he has Freeman, who's out for the Falcons, probably for another couple weeks. He has that Eckler kid from the Chargers. He can think about playing him against the Niners. He might get some love. He's already has 23 points on the board because he has Todd Gurley. Over to Steven's team, we've talked about it before, and I think the whole key we're going to watch it this year is that pretty much Steven's got to watch the Houston Texans because he has Watson, Hopkins, and Lamar Miller now. Leonard Fournette comes back from injury with Jacksonville. He picks up Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron, really, former Lion, getting love in Indianapolis. I'm happy for him. I don't think the Lions should let him go. So he's getting out there. He's got Amari Cooper. There's some upside to his squad. I don't mind it as much as I did at the beginning. Actually making a coach's decision and sitting LaShawn McCoy. Good for you. Robert Woods on the bench. Who did he not play? Who did he play? So he's got Jarvis, Hopkins, and Cooper. I think he's going to be looking to start Robert Woods over Cooper in the future. But hold on to him. Then maybe you can trade one of those receivers because you have no running backs, dude. Running backs is tough. He's starting Miller and Fournette, but he has no depth. So when those buys start hitting him, it's really going to crush him. I think I'm going to go chalk here, and I'm going to go with Alex's team for the win. Alex he's just got more than Tony has to offer, and I'm going to go with another favorite there. Going on to the fourth matchup, we have the Breeze Knees, Jamie's team versus Anthony's team. Anthony's just really dealing with a very interesting fantasy season. Nothing is going his way. He's a good player because he goes out there and he's trying to find guys, but Calvin Ridley is going to be right now. All of a sudden, he has to have Calvin Ridley show up. Last week, Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs destroyed. That's the thing. I was talking to my brother about this and how I'll watch games after they're already over, even if I already know the score, but I just won't look at the player stats because there's going to be times where last week I think the Chiefs put up 35, 40 points, and Tyreek Hill, you would think, in a nutshell there, he's going to put up 30, 40 fantasy points, and he puts up 7. So they just went a different direction. So, and it can happen the opposite way, too. You could have a time where your team only put up 12 points, but one of your receivers went off for, 180 yards. And that's why it's still fun to watch. I'll have it on when I'm cleaning up the house or whatever in the background just to see what's going on. So, I have an advantage on the other players, so I know who I should be picking up or who's getting love out there. Jamie's really got a big projected win here. Yahoo says she's going to win by 20. Not really dealing with any of the bye week trouble that Anthony is because he got Carolina Panthers out. No Cam Newton, no Christian McCaffrey. I think this is one of those weeks that he's just supposed to lose, and he's going to lose. It's not really an indictment on his team. I think that, if you ran an algorithm on what week he would lose, this would have been one of the weeks that, even at the beginning of the season, your two best guys are out on a bye that week. You're probably going to lose, which I don't have a problem with that. You don't have to coordinate your bye weeks, but this looks like a loss for Anthony. I'm going to go ahead and go with Jamie's team. I like Drew Brees. I like Antonio Brown. And she's got, Kenyon Drake starting. I think she should go with James White, but she's probably a little bit busy right now. Touring Europe for the second time in a month. Good for you. Maybe a little bit jealous, but just a little bit. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do traveling abroad. Talk about that too, guys. Really, what do you think about going to different countries and stuff? Maybe I'm just getting old. If I really wanted to go somewhere extravagant, I'd go to Hawaii or Alaska or Puerto Rico. I just want to stay in the States so I know the rules. I don't want to end up in European jail. I watch too much Locked Up Abroad, probably. That's probably what it is. locked up abroad will screw up your head. That, like, if you don't follow a custom in a different country, you're going to end up in jail for the rest of your life abroad. But let's go with Jamie here. Jamie wins probably pretty easily. I don't see Anthony's team really giving much of a fight. And then we're going to go on to the last matchup. I need a co-host. If any of you guys out there want to co-host with me, let me know. I feel like I'm flying solo right now. Matt's team, who I was really high on, is up against 4th and 20 Jack's team. He's in a bad spot because he's sitting at 1-2, and he's going up against the best team in the league. He gets a good effort out of Diggs on Thursday night, but then Dalvin Cook only puts up 2 points. Does he have any running back depth? Didn't really have any options because Chris Thompson's on a bye, but he's a backup to Peterson. I don't even know. I don't think you should be playing him either. I don't know if I've seen much turnover on this roster. Oh gosh, he benches Brandon Cooks. For who? Oh gosh, so he ends up playing. Oh man, that's tough. He's playing Sterling Shepard over Brandon Cooks. That's a terrible mistake. That's a coach's decision that I don't agree with whatsoever. I mean, the computer says so, but I just disagree. I mean, just watch the Rams offense, and it's just like you got to start one of them. It's a theme that I've been harping on all night. But I mean, that's tough. I love Jack's team. Good job, Jack. I mean, how many points is Mahomes going to put up on Monday Night Football? I mean, you would think at Denver Monday night that place is going to be crazy, and the rookie's going to struggle with the crowd noise and this and that. But I don't anymore. I'm a believer. I think he's going to continue down the path. Josh Gordon is going to play this week probably for the Patriots. Maybe he can catch lightning in a bottle. I was talking about how Tom Brady needs some weapons, and that's definitely a toy that he can use. Kamara is going to put up big numbers, as always, for him. I think, actually, you know what? I think his breakout star this week is going to be Kareem Hunt. Because I do think that, while I think Mahomes will succeed I think Kansas City is going to win at Denver and really put the league on notice that, like, we're here. I think that Andy Reid's going to come into that game with a game plan that we are going to have to control the clock a little bit in this hostile environment. And Kareem Hunt is going to be the player of the week this week. He's going to get 25, 30 touches, 100-plus yards, probably score a couple times. And even if Jack's down, 15, 20 points going into Monday Night Football, Kareem Hunt's going to make that up for him. That's about it. Not anything else for you guys. Thanks for watching. Leave a post. Let me know what you think. Anthony, if you're out there, you watch this. It's 2 weeks in a row, bro. I need you back. I want to give one more shout out to Ronald Reagan. Should probably put him on the $20 bill. And that's all I got for Fantasy Weekly. Good luck this week, guys. See you next week.